Assalamu alaikum. This is Mohammed Ramiz and you are watching Flutter Fluency. So in this video we are going to discuss about grid view. So this widget is really important if you are building your e-commerce application and if you want to show two columns side by side. Like first column would be here and second column would be here. In the first column you are having some of the products, and in the second column you are also having some of the products. Okay, so if you want to achieve that kind of scenario, so it is possible using grid view. You don't need to use two columns side by side because that's not an effective way, because you want to because when you want to scroll up, so you want that both columns should move up and down, not independently. So it would not be an independent columns, it would be a one column. So that's why we are having a separate widget for this purpose, which is named as grid view. Here you can see. So if you are gonna drag and drop it here, so now you can see that this kind of behavior, okay, which is totally fine. So let's suppose I want to replicate in my each column or row, I want to only replicate image. So I'm gonna drag and drop an image. So now you can see that if my image would be appear here, so yeah, so image is there. So now you can see that the image is here. So right now you won't be able to see any change which is affecting as a grid view, which is totally fine. But if I duplicate this thing, control D and again control D, again control D, so you can see that it's now appear in a grid kind of scenario. You understanding? So basically it's appearing in a grid kind of scenario because in my grid view is taking 3 axis count. So that's why 3 rows. If I want to change it to 2, so I'm gonna make it to 2. So now it's 2, and you can simply scroll it by adding your, yeah, so here you can see, so it's scrolling. So you won't need to add anything because my parent widget is a grid view, and column is not scrollable, but my grid view is primarily scrollable. That's why it's scrolling. Okay, so let's talk about the other features that the grid view have. You can also scroll it just like the list view. So in the previous video we have covered list view, where we have a listing in a vertical manner, but you can also do this thing if you have multiple items in a one single row. So you can also do this thing using grid view. So if you want, let's suppose you have 4 items, so you can show it here like this. So it can also use if you want to show gallery items, so you can also show this thing in a grid view manner. So you can also make it to the horizontal scrollable, and now you will be able to scroll it in a horizontal manner, and each grid have two rows now. Okay, I'm gonna make it disable. And the cross axis alignment, you can also add a spacing if you want to add a spacing between each row or between each specific item. So let's suppose you have item one, so between these two items the spacing is known as cross axis alignment or cross axis spacing. We have extensively use this cross axis alignment in a text widget, in a column widget and a row widget as well. So if you have not watched that video, so it's better you can also watch that video, because grid view is basically a combination of row and column. So in the grid view you can also see a column behavior as well as a row behavior. So this is called row basically. So these are rows and these are 2 columns. Okay, so this is a combination of both. And main and axis alignment is obviously a distance between up and down. So let's suppose if you are gonna add 2, so you can see that it would be like this. And the children aspect ratio, this is basically an aspect. So basically the grid view here, you can as you have mentioned, cross axis count is 2. So this is child 1, and it will take the exact same space, or maybe you can say that it will take all the space that this portion have. Okay, so this portion, all of the space this portion have, it will take automatically the space, and the rest of the space will be taken by the other child. So first of all let me add a padding here of 12 pixels. So you can see that it's now added, and each child is now adjust based upon the available space, equally divided space. And if you want to make sure that the child portion whatever the space that this child portion have, if you want to make sure that, let's suppose this portion if I talk about, so if you want to make sure that this portion will not take the complete space, it will take a half of the space. So you can also adjust this thing using your aspect ratio. Okay, so let's suppose if I'm going to change this aspect ratio to half, so now you can see that it's increased. Okay, so it's increased, it will be taking twice space than the than this area specifically have. So basically if this area is 200 pixels, so the height is 400 pixels, because we are doing a half of the aspect ratio, which means that twice the space. Okay, but similarly if we decrease it more, so it will increase more. Yeah, like this. You can see that if you want to make it shorter, so you need to go to 1.3, and now it will be reduced. Now it's reduced, so let 2, so it's reduced more. So you can manage your aspect ratio using your grid view by your own taste. Okay, and the end spacing and start spacing, I believe that this features you already know, because this is the same feature we have discussed in a row, column, then list view, then now in the grid view as well. These are the two same features. If you want to add spacing, so it will add a spacing above the above your these two widgets, just like this. So 12, so it will add a 12 spacing, and if you add an end spacing, so it will add a spacing below the widget which is ending. So here you can see, so it's 2. Okay, let's talk about the shrink wrap. Shrink wrap is basically so this property is not excessively used. If you want to miss out this property, if you don't want to understand this property, it's totally fine. This property is basically used if you wrap your grid view widget in a container, or where we have a where we don't want to make the extendable width, just like this. The grid view right now we have added an expansion, that's why it's moving up and down. If we remove this expansion, it will throw an error. Let's see. So you can see that if we close this, so it throws an error. But so is it possible not to use an expansion but still use grid view? Yeah, it is possible. So in that case, you need to wrap your grid view into a container, then you need to use your shrink wrap, and expansion would be off, then your grid view also being scrolling in a correct manner. So that's how you can simply manage your grid view basically. So let's see how many triggers we have and how we use. Okay, so you can see that this is most important and user friendly, user experience wise, a best feature. On pull to refresh. So sometimes when you scroll down, or when you drag down or pull down, so it will show a loading icon and then your grid refresh. So you can also use this thing, and other features are really simple on tab, double tap and long press. So yeah, that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you into the next one.